Dude,
What?
tomorrow,
Yeah?
it's Valentine's Day, which means it's Valentine's Day weekend. You know what that means as well? Romantic comedies.
No!
Yes.
Well, you know what?
What?
There are some movies that are technically rom-coms,
Oh,
but dudes can enjoy.
that's true. That is a fact.
Stay tuned and find out.
We'll see you soon, right after this.
Two guys talking, saying anything, nothing new to say, talking anyway. Start yammering, can't hear a thing, nothing I can do. So let's have one more brew. One more brew. Let's have one more brew. One more brew. Stop talking, try listening, try anything, try whistling. There you go again, saying anything, nothing I can do. So let's have one more brew. One more brew. Let's have one more brew. One more brew.
That's dude.
That's dude.
And welcome to Lazyboys Night.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh. Oh. Whoa, 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 whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
lot of head there, lot of head.
Ça fait de la lube.
I'm pouring slow. I like my head nice and slow. Name your sex tape.
I was in a rush. I only had a few minutes.
Oh, even then, I still can't
Still,
hold it.
what? It happens.
It happens. What are we drinking?
It happens.
What are we drinking here? Outside Jokes from Town Brewery. It's a pale ale. And it's just a little bird giving us the peace sign.
Sweet. Outside jokes, man. That's all we are, is outside jokes. And sometimes, you know, lazy boys.
Inside jokes, and sometimes
we're inside the dude den jokes. Sometimes tabarnak jokes.
a lot of jokes.
There's a lot of jokes happening.
Is there still too much head, or can you give it a try?
Oh, let's see if I can't just.
Oh, sure. Just add to it. Why don't you?
Well, it looks like an ice cream
I'm having a
float.
sip, I'm having a
Fine. Cheers.
Spit in my beer.
I got some.
Oh, it's very
that's
crisp.
nice. Yeah. No
It's
kidding.
very crisp.
Huh.
It's a little on the dry side, though. I find there's not much
fit-
aftertaste at all.
No, and it doesn't. It tastes like if a hazy IPA
Yeah,
and a pale ale had a child, it would be this.
but a very dry child.
Yeah, the child doesn't have any inspirations or
Yeah,
doesn't have
yeah.
aspirations, inspirations, whatever.
It's tasty, but then it's gone.
You're gonna have to convince your
Interesting.
child to go out of the house and go play a bit because they're very dry.
I could see this being dangerous in summer because you just like pound them back.
Oh, this as a patio beer would be very. That's why the outside joke.
Oh, you
It's
want to
a
drink it
patio.
outside? That makes
They're
sense.
laughing at you because they know you're going to be sipping quite a few of these.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. So
So
tonight on Lazy Boys Night,
So
as you saw in our little intro there, Valentine's Day is literally tomorrow. And guys, I know what you're thinking. You're going to take your girl out for dinner. She's
your
going to want
boy.
to snuggle on the couch after, and before you can get a little, I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm talking about. You might have to sit through the rom-com.
I got a question. This goes out to my brothers. Gay guys, do you enjoy rom-coms? Like, if you guys snuggle up, is that something that you actually enjoy? Because I don't know. Because it seems like it's super geared towards girls.
Ah, but see, that's where I think you're wrong, because there's a lot of rom-coms that are actually loaded with comedy and action nonetheless. So while there's technically a romantic plot line, it's still an action flick. It's still a comedy flick,
Huh.
making it appealing.
Oh,
dudes.
so that's the kind of movie you could watch. Because it's not only Valentine's Day, it's Valentine's weekend. 'Cause
Yeah.
It happens to fall on a Friday. So you're going to have a whole weekend of this.
Yeah.
So, if you can find a loophole, oh, that's what we're doing. We're going to show
We're finding
you.
loopholes.
We're
So,
going to
dude,
do a rom-com loophole.
That's right. So tell us about this first rom-com you think that is still a rom-com, but is loaded with, again, the action, the comedy, and all this fun stuff, so guys can go like, yeah, I can get into this.
Yeah, so the first one is The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy is actually, it's a new movie. It came out, I think it was
last year.
last year, the year before, recently. But that 100% romantic comedy disguised as an action movie.
It's
and
actually
a full action movie.
It's actually
awesome.
kind of a soft reboot of the TV series
Starting the Majors.
Starting the Majors. Was that the 90s or the 80s?
Oh my god, dude.
I think it was the early 90s. Anyway, I could be wrong here. But yeah, you're basically, it's about a stuntman who gets framed. That's the plot line the dudes will like, and there's lots of action, lots of stunts, lots of fighting. What's the rom part?
The rom part is actually the romantic interest between the two lead protagonists. She's a director for a film. He's the lead stuntman in most of the films, and they have this behind-the-scenes romance happening, and it's a kind of a back and forth, and they go through this massive breakup at one point. They get back together. Or he's trying to get back into her good graces, but
He even sings Taylor Swift.
oh, yeah. So, but anyways, the way it's presented, yeah, 100%. I didn't even think of it till at the very end.
Yeah.
I'm going,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
man,
there's a love story too.
I was
That's
just
right.
roped into this thing, but it was an awesome, action-filled, romantic movie.
Yeah.
But guys, you could definitely enjoy this.
Oh, loaded with stunts and cool explosions and things like
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah, absolutely. This next one, I'm gonna go a little more old school, but I still think to this day this stands as one of the great adventure films. But it is a rom-com, Romancing the Stone. Do you remember that?
Oh,
Michael
yes.
Douglas and why am I
Yes.
drawing a blank on her name? Oh,
the only I know was it Kathleen Turner?
Kathleen Turner.
Was
Thank
it?
you very much.
Oh yeah! Ding, 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 ding,
Michael
ding, ding.
Douglas and Kathleen Turner.
Yes.
She is an author who gets kind of mixed up in the thing where they're trying to find this actual stone. I believe is a big emerald. And he's just this jungle trekker guy, and they wind up on this big adventure together, chasing down treasure. That's the basic plot. But as it happens, they kind of fall for each other, and then will he go for the jewels, or will he go for the girl, or can he get both, and whatnot?
Yeah.
And it is a romantic story nonetheless, but loaded with adventure. And one of my favorite scenes to this day still stands out. One of our favorite films is The Three Amigos, and the guy who's the main villain, El Guapo in The Three Amigos, is also in Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
And he's this guy who's got, they need a ride, and they go ask this guy. He's got the only ride in town, so they knock on his door and say, we need a ride.
Can we get there in your car?
Who told you you had a car?
The men in the village.
They told you you had a car? They're such comedians. They made my little mule. Pepe.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
But
it's a great
anyways,
scene.
adventure, humor, and romance, so the girls can. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound derogatory. So the more in tune with their romantic side gender.
That was my question, though. I always find you know what? Regardless of the kind of couple you are, there's always somebody that's more romantic than the other.
True. So we'll just say
Regardless.
the romantic partner. We'll just call
That's
it the
what I
romantic
mean,
partner.
because there's always the action person and there's the romantic person. And that's what I feel like if we're going into this.
Which one are you?
I'm totally the action guy. 100%.
Same.
But it's one of those things where there's always, and I know dudes that are so freaking romantic and they're so in tuned, and it's one of those things where
Maybe they watch these movies.
I can hear. No. I'm telling you right now that within that couple, it would be like within trying to have this argument between having movies,
Yeah.
and then having what we call the classic rom-com, but having what we're showing today,
Yeah.
is that there's an alternative.
There you
available.
go.
So this was everybody can enjoy it, and it's not just like
You're
you're being
welcome.
pulled into this movie. And it's like, nah, I don't want to see this. These are classic movies that you can watch at home,
Oh, yeah.
have a beautiful evening together, and just have fun.
So what's the next one on your list to have fun?
This caught me by surprise because I was not expecting this to be an actual romantic movie, but it's still one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Oh.
It's a Mike Myers comedy. It's my favorite movie of his. So I married an axe murderer.
That, I think, is the most underrated comedy ever. It is brilliantly
In this
funny.
film, it's one of those things where he keeps having different relationships and he can't keep relationships and he always finds different excuses for why it doesn't last. And then he ends up meeting this girl that's perfect for him.
Oh, yeah.
So you see a lot of the early comedic, what will be a superstar.
There's
which is Mike Myers.
little hints of Dr. Evil and a few other
everything.
things coming up.
Charlie?
Yes?
Name one bad thing you've done.
Well, I've done bad things. But let's talk about you for a second. Tell me one bad thing that you've done, and it better be evil.
How evil?
Really evil. Like so evil that you would say it was evil. Like it's the fruits of the devil. Evil.
Little hints of Fat Bastard.
Yeah.
It's the beginnings of Mike Myers'
Yeah,
superstardom.
developing his different
Oh, yeah.
characters. But in this, the fact that so I married an axe murderer. The whole premise of it, and him, what he's going through, and what she's going through, and then you finish a movie going, "Oh man, this was a romantic movie."
But
Frick.
nonetheless, you laughed
Super
your
funny,
ass off.
unbelievably funny.
Excuse me.
Well presented.
I ordered the large. Watch it, you'll get it.
Yeah. So again, if you're gonna watch a rom-com, make sure you watch this classic movie.
It is
You will both enjoy it
so
very much.
underrated, and everybody I
Yeah.
know who has seen it said, "Oh my god, I love that
Yeah.
movie." I'm gonna go with my next pick is a movie starring Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Okay.
It's called Date Night.
Oh.
Date
Yes,
Night.
Mark Wahlberg as well is in that movie.
But yes, I believe he
Yeah.
is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
If you've never seen Date Night, I can relate to Date Night to some extent because Date Night is about a couple they've been together for a while, and things are kind of in a rut humdrum and blah blah blah, and they have a weekly date night to try to keep things interesting. But you can tell they're just going through the motions, and sadly that happens to a lot of couples. And they decide to, on a whim, try a new fancy restaurant in town. But when they get there, they don't have reservations. They can't get in. But they see that there's a no-show on the list, so they pretend to be this other couple to get the table.
I've forgotten that part, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how they get into the bed.
yeah.
The problem is this other couple who's a no-show is wanted by the mob. And so these mobsters show up and think they're the couple. So they get dragged into this crazy adventure, chased by the mob, you know, which cop is crooked, which is not, and it's just, it's a comedy of errors. It's freaking hilarious. There's one scene in particular where the guy makes them dance.
What are they doing now?
Sex robots.
It's wrong,
so ridiculously
funny, but wrong.
and funny. But in the
Yeah.
end, here's the wrong part. After having gone through all this, they discover how much they enjoy each other's company and how much they love each other, and they go through it all over again. So you're like, oh man, this was a romantic comedy.
Yeah, got roped in
Steve
again.
Carell, one of the funniest guys ever. Tina Fey, hilarious woman. Put them together. This is, and they said Mark Wahlberg, he's got scenes in there as the mobster. He is ridiculously funny.
He's super
You want a
funny,
good
that
laugh?
guy. Yeah.
Watch Date Night.
So, another one that really surprised me, and most of you watching right now will probably be surprised by this entry, which is Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day, until you're like 3/4 in, you realize it's with Bill Murray, right? And
then Andy McDowell.
yeah, and she plays fantastic in this as well, as she always does. But 3/4 in, you realize Oh my God, it's a romantic comedy. There's all these things he ends up. If you don't know, it's not a spoiler alert. It's been out since, dude, what's the year it came out?
And by the way, Groundhog Day was just a week and a bit ago.
Oh, on top of it, right? So, you know, we're doing a twofer. So the whole premise is at one point he tries to, for him it's like, basically he just enjoys the chase, picking up, dropping off, doesn't want to go into any relationship. But because he's reliving the same day over and over, he starts falling in love with this girl because he gets to learn more and more about her while she doesn't learn anything about him because it's basically the same guy until he decides to actually make those changes and
become a better
himself.
man. Yeah.
And you're going through this and going, so he's taking this opportunity not to be opportunist,
but to actually be a decent human being.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, that's a nice spin. Wasn't expecting that.
Side note, I remember reading an article once because you see at one point the skills he acquires, he becomes a master piano player and all these other things.
Yeah.
And they listed all the skills and they calculated the amount of time it would take to get good at all of them. And they estimate he was stuck in that loop for close to 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have time for a lot of growth in 30 years. Living the same day over and over again.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So
speaking of time, we're going to take a little blast to the past. This next pick, while it came out in the 2000s, was set in the mid-80s. This is part of the classic team-up. They've done several great movies together, but I'm talking about, of course, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore in The Wedding Singer.
I love
a little more obvious that it's a rom-com, but nonetheless, if you've never seen this is about a guy who was a wedding singer back in the 80s, and they've got all the stereotypes with the fashion and the cars and all these stuffs and the big hair and all this stuff. But he falls for this girl who, they become friends, but he actually winds up falling for her. And of course,
he ends up in the friend zone.
He gets friend zone, and she's dating a douchebag. And it's really about...
With a DeLorean.
With a DeLorean. All the cliches from the 80s.
Yeah.
And just basically, it's a little more obvious that it's a romantic comedy, but I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on the comedy part. It's Adam Sandler.
Yeah. He does a lot of that. He actually, if you look at
50
his
First
movies,
Dates and all
he
these...
does a lot of romantic comedies. He's huge in that.
Yep.
And we tend to think that a lot of his humor is like childlike humor.
No, he's a man-child. He is.
He is a man-child.
Or his characters are.
Exactly. But if you look into most of his movies, there's a part of him that knows, you know what? I need to make romantic comedies, rom-coms, for everybody. So there's going to be the comedic element. There's going to be the actual romantic element. All these different elements that he brings in. And I'm going, this guy knows what he's selling.
Except when he does Hubie Halloween.
Oh no, I haven't. I refuse to see it. Somebody told me it was awesome, and I'm like,
no.
I don't even want to go there.
No, those are 2 hours I'm never getting back.
No.
All right, let's change the subject.
Yeah. No, I don't even.
All right, what's your next pick, there, dude? Or no, that was our top 6.
Yeah.
Do we have honorable mentions?
I was trying to go through my mind. I'm going. I think that I'm pretty much tapped out.
Do you have an honorable mention?
Well, there's one.
Excuse me.
Because that was well brought up.
Too bad you are. Blah,
there
blah,
we go.
Blah.
It's not a blah blah blah. It's important. I actually have 2 honorable mentions.
2?
I'm not going to go super in depth with them, but one that people tend to forget, which is an awesome classic rom-com, and it was a rom-com before that the term even existed. Casablanca.
Oh my
Humphrey
God.
Bogart in Casablanca. If you ever get a chance to watch a classic movie, go check out Casablanca, right? And because you have the mindset that it is a rom-com, because there's funny moments in there, there's serious moments, there's the relationship, there's a mix of everything.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never actually seen it. And I've always thought that it was more of a drama than a comedy.
So it's the type of comedy that's in there. It's the actual. Okay, you have to imagine back in the day, like folks, if you're talking about movies like black and white movies back in the 40s and 50s, the comedy came from the interaction,
Okay.
right? So it's
a
not
lot
like
of wit.
ha ha ha
Yeah.
ha ha. It's that
Yeah,
wit, and it's being on the ball, and the way they respond to situations and their comments they make. That makes the movie. There's moments where I actually laugh out loud and like, oh my god, that's
I'll have
awesome.
to check it out.
But it is an absolute comedy, and going completely the 180 the other side, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Right?
Angelina
Brad
Jolie
Pitt
and Brad
with
Pitt.
Angelina Jolie. That,
It's a total spy thriller action thing.
and that is,
But it's about their
absolutely,
relationship.
Absolutely a rom-com.
If you've never seen it, they're two spies who are married to each other, but they don't know that the other one's a spy.
and the
Until
comedic-
later.
and the
Until they
comedic
have to
part-
kill each other.
Exactly. And the comedic part is their interaction, and
Oh, yeah.
when they find out that they're hired to kill each other, but they're married, and they're still willing to go through the job.
Oh, yeah.
they're
It's
professionals.
it's a good
They're
flick.
professionals, but that interaction and the action sequences in this movie are hilarious on their own. But
Yeah.
what's happening is deadly serious, but they make light of the situation because of their relationship and where they are. in the
Good
whole
picks,
thing.
my friend. Good picks.
So those were right off the bat. I was thinking about all these different things, but for you, do you have an honorable mention?
Well, real quick, forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh,
Jason Segel, Kristen Bell,
Yeah.
Mila Kunis. It's funny. Again, you can tell it's a little more obvious. It's about relationships and the breakup, and he meets the other girl and who belongs with what and all this. But the way it's played, it is funny, and
It is.
Jason
That's-
Segel really shows off his comedy chops beyond
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
And really a good laugh out loud movie.
That was one of those movies where I finished and going, you know what? I just enjoyed myself.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
remember clearly watching this, and during the movie, I enjoyed it. When it was done, and going, that was a good movie.
That was a good movie.
I wouldn't.
And
be
you know
willing
what?
to critique it beyond.
His Dracula puppet musical at the end. That's what allowed him to do the Muppets movie later.
Because of that.
Yeah, because he always wanted to do the Muppets thing, and when he did this Dracula thing, he showed people that he could actually do this. He designed that whole scene. He designed, built the puppets, choreographed that whole scene.
Okay, dude.
It was basically his
scene
demo
or
reel
picture of
for
whatever.
the Muppets.
Here I am. I'll leave you bleeding in my dungeon. I'll never obey. I'll rip out your esophagus.
Please, Mr. Van Helsing, listen to me. He's just a man who wishes to be free. Lay him in a hearse, you must end this curse.
He's the worst.
My favorite part is when you see the vampires get stabbed and they pull out the ribbons to make the blood splurt out. It's brilliant. Anyways,
So, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day weekend. Enjoy each other.
enjoy
Everybody.
these rom-coms so everybody gets something out of it.
Right? So-
and subscribe.
If you enjoy what we do,
Like and
show
share.
your love during Valentine's,
Oh,
right?
well done, sir.
You know, we love you. We know you love us, but you just need to show us. We need a little, you need us to show that you actually
Give us a
do
little
love
sugar
us
for
a little
Valentine's
bit,
Day.
right? So, if you don't have a significant other, if you're just shopping right now, and if you feel, you know what, still watch these movies.
If you're lonely, yeah, crack a beer and watch
and
these movies.
Watch Lazyboys. We'll spend
Oh,
the
yes.
weekend with you.
We will.
Right? So you can binge watch Lazyboys.
You have 3.5
and you'll
years of
have-
episodes to choose from.
You'll have a happy Valentine's weekend in a threesome, right? So good on you.
Name your sex
You're
tape.
going to be the awesome person. You're going to be rocking Monday morning in the office telling
There you
people
go.
what you did this weekend. So we'll see you
Cheers.
next time.